0-2 teams, that's our topic for today. Now, Chris Broussard on First Things First brought up that 0-2 teams have not made the playoffs for the last 2 years. Now, when I heard that number, 2 years is a little bit suspicious. It's a small sample size. I didn't think we were getting the full picture. So I went back 5 years. In the last 5 years, 4 teams have made the playoffs. And one of those teams, only one team was able to win a playoff game. That's your 2018 Saints. Now, breaking into it, I want to know, of the 7 teams that are currently 0-2, who's going to be able to pull this out? Who is going to go from 0-2 to a playoff team? We have 7 teams. We're going to start off from 7, go to 1. What I'm looking at here is first we're going to look at strength of schedule. Then we're going to look at strength in division. Then we're going to have injuries. Now that could be people coming back from injury soon or people that are out for the entire year. That's a positive and a negative there. And then we're going to have plus X. Now, what is X? X is our X factor. That could be a good thing or a bad thing for a team, but I feel like it's the most important and relevant news to their current record and where they will go. So we're going to go ahead and kick it off, like I said, Falcons. Number 7, here's the issue. They have a really strong division this year. We know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be just as good as they were last year. They got to figure it out on defense. Maybe we see a little bit of decline there, but they're so much better than the Atlanta Falcons. The Panthers are also 2-0, and they're showing that they are very, very good. I believe they rank first, now only 2 weeks, but they do rank first in defensive categories. That's a big deal because the Atlanta Falcons do not have a defense. They have no names that I know. I've seen a lot of their players, Keanu Neal, go to the Dallas Cowboys. I've seen their players branch out. I don't know that they have enough talent on defense. Now, the Panthers have given up 190 yards a game for the first 2 games of the season. Now, their competition wasn't as good. We're going to see that go up. There's no reason to think they won't stay around the top 10, maybe top 5 this year. That puts a lot of pressure on the Atlanta Falcons. That's 2-0 teams. Their defense is easily the worst defense in the league. To put that in perspective, they are on the highest points against margin in the NFC by over 19 points. They have been scored on a total of 40 points in the last 2 weeks. The next closest is also on our list, the Vikings with 61. Now that's a lot closer to normal. Now, right now the Falcons are a way outlier. No defense. Their offense isn't as good anymore. It doesn't carry them like it used to. Number 6, I have the Jets. Here's the thing. We can chalk it up. I put a plus, and I'll bring this up again, but the new coach, new quarterback combo, I'm going to put that a plus because they're going to have to get to know each other through the year. We're going to give them time to do that. So I think that those teams are going to get better, but I'm just going to put this as blank. Lack of talent. I don't see enough talent on really any side of the ball to think that this is going to be a super special team this year. You know, they're going to have to spend some money and recoup some talent before they're able to make a play at any sort of playoffs. And here's the second thing. We saw it last week. The Belichick's in the division. If you have a young quarterback and you're playing Belichick, mark it up as a loss. It doesn't happen. You lose that game. And it's okay. It's a process. It breaks quarterbacks, but it also makes quarterbacks. Don't stress too much about that. Next year, we might see a better roster out of the Jets. But for this year, they have no chance because they're going to have to win one of those games. And the fact that Belichick is an automatic loss next time is a killer. And they're just not going to be able to get past that. I see the Jets' first winnable game, though, as they are 0-2. I believe they'll go 0-4, and then they have a chance against the Falcons to go ahead and get that first win. And I'm really excited to see that. I want them to play close to good teams and at least rival for a win against bad teams as well. Number 5 on my list is the Vikings. And this was a tough one. Their games have been close. They haven't lost by a lot of points. They almost beat the Cardinals. The Cardinals who exploded in week 1. Here's the thing. It's a defensive coach without a good defense. Their defense is the second worst in the NFC. It's not looking good. I don't think it's going to get better. I don't see anything. I don't see any special young talent that's just going to need a few more games to get himself there. I see a defense that's a shell of itself. And here's the thing. I hate to do it to them, but they lost their star running back. And I do not see with that tough of a schedule, there's no winnable games on their schedule that I can look at and say they're going to win that game, especially after the loss to the Bengals. It's very hard to look at them as beating any team like the Bears even. So I think it's going to be a rough road for them. I don't think they're the worst team on this list. I think you put them up at probably 1, 2, or 3. But with such a hard schedule, there's just no chance. Now this brings me to the first team that I feel like has a chance. We're going to start talking more positives, more possibilities, rather than, hey, this is why they're not going to make it. And here's the issue. There's not a whole lot of them for the Giants. But here's the thing. They do have players coming off injury back onto the roster. As start as week 4, you'll see John Ross also. All the Giants have looks like the Giants passing game. Now, most of the passing game and the run game just happens to be Daniel Jones. He's their offense right now. That's not good. He does make too many mistakes to be an offense. He's not a very safe quarterback. So they're going to struggle. I don't think it matters that they're in a weak division. I think they fall pretty close to 4. I'm still unsure about where the Eagles are, but I think they're sitting at that 3-4 range. The winnable games for them are inside their division. Their outside divisions that they're playing are very, very tough. I don't see them winning any of them. I don't look at them and say the Giants have a good chance to win that. I'd like to see Saquon Barkley come back and make an impact. I don't see that happening anytime soon. We put them now at barely. They have just a very small chance. I don't give it any credit. Now on to number 3, the Jaguars. Now, people are going to be a lot lower on the Jaguars than I am, but they put a legendary coach, I would say a grade A coach or a double A coach with a double A prospect. So these guys are what you would already say possibly have Hall of Fame talent in a relatively weak division. I think that we're going to see them stick in games, and they found a way to stick in and remain sort of close against the Broncos. Ended up losing by 10, but it felt like a much closer game at times. You're going to want to see the growth between Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer. You're going to see that grow. You want to start seeing them win close and then win a few games that we feel like they should win. And the good thing is a lot of those winnable games are also in division. Their division is pretty wiped out at this point. We're going to be talking about another 0-2 team in the same division. I think they might be the worst division this year. There's going to be a lot of good opportunities for them to jump. If they make that change, I don't think we'll see it this year. They do have a general lack of talent on both sides of the ball. I feel like their passing game might be okay, but I don't think there's really anything else. I would like to see them get an upgrade on the offensive line. I don't think we're going to see them in the playoffs until then. Now, here's where it gets fun. We have 2 more left. Who's number 2? Who's number 1? A lot of people aren't going to agree with me on this one. It's the Lions. Now, here's the thing. They have only a moderate schedule. There's about 8 to 9 winnable games left for the Lions. If they could win those and maybe pull out one more, that's 10 wins. You're 10-7. You might get into the playoffs. That's a wild card berth slot. Now, the issue is you have the NFC West, which is probably going to vie for both of the wild card spots. We'll see a hard push for that third one. The chances are still not good here. I would give them about 5% chance. I see with the new coach, new quarterback, we're going to add that in there. That's a plus. On top of that, I see what the Lions head coach wanted to do with the offense and defensive lines. I think it's getting there. Great pickup this year with Penei Sewell. He's going to be a monster. I think that's going to bother the Bengals for quite a long time that they didn't pick that guy. He looks like a Hall of Fame talent, 13, 15-year O-line monster. Now, I'm going to put a negative as some key injuries. They got a cornerback last year in the draft. He will be out for the year. They do have a significant amount of injuries, and I think two very important and first stringers. So I think it's hurting where it needs to hurt most for a team to collapse. To go ahead and count that as a negative. And lastly, I don't think they're completely devoid of talent there. They have Jared Goff. They have some good receivers. I know Swift is looking like a great prospect. I think we'll see him shoot next year as well as at the end of this year. Will it happen fast enough? I wouldn't put my money on it, but they're number 2, and that means something. The Lions haven't had anything to look forward to in a long time. What I'm seeing from the offensive line could possibly build to bigger and better things. But that leaves one more, and I believe they have a real chance to make the playoffs here, and it's the Colts. Now, the Colts have not been playing well, and to be honest with you, their injury list is a mile long, and it's important players. There's, Darius Leonard, their safeties, their corners, their starting safeties, their starting corners. You see it along the offensive line as well, a strength for them last year and what made them one of the more promising teams of this year. But they aren't the only ones with injuries. Now, Tyrod Taylor, the Texans, they were at the top of the division. They were looking like the leaders of that division. Tyrod Taylor gets out. He gets hurt. Now you put in Mills. I'm not too sure anything about Mills. He didn't look great. I think you're going to see them fall. The only ones you have in the division to really be worried about now, I think, is the Titans. I think the Titans have the greatest chance to win that division, but I think that the Colts can piggyback. They could possibly. It would matter that they beat the Titans in both their outings. And if they're able to do that, they can take the division as one of the weaker divisions, or they could just rack up wins and only have to win 3 or 4 games out of division, and you're going to see a playoffs Colts team. Now, I give them about a 15% chance. If you want to bet that, that is big money, but you have to understand it's between the Titans, it's between them. I think that we're not going to see Tyrod Taylor. Mills is going to be the quarterback of the Texans. I have no idea what that's going to look like, but I bet it's not going to be good. We're going to see the Colts really get a shot to still play in the postseason this year. All right, folks, listen up. Thank you for listening to my show. It's something I really enjoy to do. Please like and subscribe so I know that you are enjoying this as well. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And you guys have a great week 3.